Guild notes, path breath later, it's gone. Path breath later, mute a skyscript whisper glyph of a shadow that moved asterisk before asterisk, the first spire was carved, half eroded. Guild notes, yellowed and trembling, whisper of a shadow that moved asterisk before asterisk, the first spire was carved. They called it Rathalos. Not a myth, a wyvern whose wings blotted the sun, whose reign the guild unmade. Maps still bleed its outline, fractured across borders. What else did they carve from the sky? What else did they carve from the sky? A colossus, not a myth, Rathalos, the Sky King, whose wingspan in MH1's cover art is a fossil of dominance. His shadow fractured forests, his roars starved rivers of rain. The guild's records omit his name, yet their maps still bear scars of his forgotten empire. Why do every old world map contain fragments of a sky empire that predates them? The answer lies in the silence. Aerial dominance did not, it was buried. Rathalos' reign was not a tale, but a truth too vast to name. What collapses when the sky itself is erased? The old world bestiary calls Rathalos a monster. Wyverian carvings call him Sky King. Shrade's final scrolls name a sovereign whose fall birthed Fatalis. A paradox, the guild's archives burn at this. Rathian's bond to the mountainshire lairs nested where his clouds once broke, hints at a civilization swallowed whole, not by time, by silence. The Shrade kingdom crumbled under Fatalis' wrath, yes. But what if that wrath was a blade turned inward, a purge masked as Cadaster? The guild's first chronicles begin with void. Yet every ancient map fractures their shattered borders of a sky empire no name holds, a reign too vast to name. Too vast to let stand, the air itself was rewritten. No pyres could consume what was never written. Hold the what was air never itself was rewritten, acknowledged. Only the consume what was never written mountains remember. Only Rathian's eyes, cold as forgotten crowns, watch where his dominion once blazed. What becomes of a sky when its stars are struck from the record? The Equal Dragon weapon project was not a failure, it was a reckoning. The guild bound Rathalos to steel, believing intelligence could be caged. They miscalculated. His wings did not submit the negotiated asterisk. Field logs from Valenwood show Rathian arriving days before the first strike, her scarlet scales a silent herald of alliance. The guild called it anomalous. They meant unacceptable asterisk. Rathalos did not fight alone, he strategized asterisk. When snares tightened around his talons, Rathian's fire softened the earth, creating escape routes. This was no mere kinship. It was a dynasty in motion. The guild's engineers, stunned by coordination so precise it defied dragon nature, redacted every report. Their solution, to fracture the bond, they poisoned Rathian. The aftermath is etched in silence. Rathalos withdrew from lowlands, retreating to peaks where guild eyes could not follow. His aerial dominanciance, a tapestry of migration routes, territorial signals, and seasonal hunts, was stripped from cartography. What the guild could not kill they erased, yet fragments remain. Old world maps whisper of a sky empire, its borders drawn in ash and altitude. Why do these maps persist? The guild's archives burn, their historians rewrite, but the stars above Elders Reach still align with constellations no astronomer can name. And in the wind that curls over the howling spires, there is a pattern, a language, a memory of sovereignty. Did the guild fear Rathalos for what he was? Or for what he might become, should the sky ever remember its lost king? The sky walls of the shattered highlands do not erode like stone, they hum. Their geometry aligns with Rathalos' skyscript etched not by wind, but by wings that once shadowed the sun. Wyverian scribes, bound to truth, recorded these patterns in their chronicles. They wrote of a king who wove the clouds into a throne, whose dominion stretched from cliff to stratosphere. These records, now classified by the guild, hint at a civilization that thrived in 3 dimensions. The guild's archives label such findings as ecological anomalies. Hunters are trained to dismiss Rathalos' sigils as natural erosion. Yet the skyscript recurs in wyvern bone glyphs, in the flight paths of storm hawks, in the arrhythmia of thunderstorms where his citadels once hung. The Wyverians did not invent myths, they transcribed reality. Their parchments show Rathalos not as a beast, but as an architect of balance, his empire a symbiosis of sky and will. What does it mean when the earth remembers what the guild forbids? The sky walls are no accident, they are ruins. Their carvings, a language of lift and turbulence, suggest Rathalos' kin engineered their own aerodynamics adapted to the altitude, the pressure, the silence between heartbeats. The guild's management has not erased this legacy. It has buried it layer by layer until only fragments surface, a glyph in a hunter's trap, a symmetry in a cliffside. The maps you studied as a child, all bear the same scar, a grid of omissions. A sky once mapped with precision, now reduced to empty blue. The guild ranks its hunters not by skill, but by their obedience to this erasure. They do not fear Rathalos' return. They fear the weight of what he left behind, proof that the heavens were once a kingdom, not a void. The maps of the old world bear scars of a sky kingdom no ledger acknowledges. Wyveria's spires, older than the guild's first charter, crumble with the weight of unspoken truths. Bones too vast for wyverns, their stories era logs ridges swore to carved with clouds that glyphs the guild moved like later living declared heresy. Their stories era logs ridges swore to carved with clouds that glyphs the guild moved like later living declared heresy, thinks until their accounts were redacted, their names struck from scribe halls. The guild's black dragon prohibition does not forbid what it fears, it silences what it cannot name. Taxonomic frontiers are not blank spaces on charts, they are voids where memory was excised. Rathalos was no rogue force. His absence is the hinge of an ecosystem the guild rewrites to sustain its order. Every wingbeat in those ancient skies shaped weather, shaped prey, shaped the balance of a world that no longer's its architect. The wild's expeditions found more than ruins. They found patterns, nesting sites aligned to celestial markers, prey species with instincts for a predator that no longer hunts. The guild calls this a frontier of knowledge. It is a frontier of erasure. What does it cost a civilization to erase its foundation, to call a keystone species a myth? The black dragon's shadow lingers not in terror, but in the quiet gaps between what was and what remains. The question is not why the guild hides him, it is why the world still breathes under the weight of his absence. The maps fracture where his borders once stretched, Wyverian scrolls name him, shrayed tablets date his reign. Yet the guild's bestiary lists him as myth. Taxonomists stumble over elder dragon classification because Rathalos defied categorization. His intelligence mirrored the guild's own, his dominion etched in cloud and shadow. Hunters swear by his sigil, but their ranks are ordered to omit it. The guild regulates research, yet its own archives bleed contradictions. How does a king vanish from every map? How does a sky empire dissolve to rumor? The answer lies in what the guild cannot name. The taxonomic frontier stumbles where his legacy begins. His absence is not a void, it is a pressure, a weight. The world breathes under it still. What else have they buried to keep the skies empty? The bond between Rathalos and Rathian was not myth. It was a symbiosis spanning forested mountain biomass. Their aerial dominion thrived where others faltered. The guild did not erase Rathalos out of malice, they unmade a rival. A Sky King's legacy cannot be raised by fire or blade. It lingers in the breath of elder pines. In the hollows where Rathian's kin still nest, the maps you Tracithos fractured borders were carved from truth. A civilization that flew as stars orbit. The guild's ascent required a void. They did not create it, they excavated it. Layer by layer, the absence of Rathalos is not absence. It is a scar, a suppressed equilibrium. Elder dragons are not anomalies. They are taxonomic ghosts, the last survivors of an ecosystem the guild could not replicate. Rathian's song still vibrates in the wind. A frequency the guild cannot silence. The truth is not buried, it is sealed, beneath every mountain the guild claims. Every sky they hollow, the world remembers, the world breathes. The guild does not destroy, it erases. Every map's fracture, every sky empire's ghost in parchment proof of Rathalos' wings. The guild ranks hunters not by skill, but by obedience. To question their ecological management is to touch the black dragon prohibition. A classified void, what thrives in that silence? A civilization that reads storms as scripture, that built cities where the sky thinned. Now only echoes in the wind and the guild's careful lies. They call it balance, you call it theft. The guild's monoleon truth is a cage, its bars forged from erased stars. Hunters who chase shadows must ask, what else is locked beneath management? What other kings whose names could split the sky lie buried in the guild's ledgers? The Black Dragon is not a myth. It is a warning, a scar left by the last who dared to know too much. The world breathes, the world remembers. Every sealed mountain, every hollow sky, every map's jagged edge, Rathalos' legacy persists, not in the guild's terms, in the cracks. In the questions they fear, to hunt is to choose, to follow the fragments, to let the wind's rage become your own. Every old world map bears scars of Rathalos etched in ash. In New World canyons, carvings show winged kings swallowed by fog. Camuran scrolls whisper of storms conjured to bury what the guild could not erase. The guild's reach spans 3 realms, yet their ledgers claim balance, but balance demands sacrifice. The wilderness remembers. Trees groan with unspoken names, stones hold the weight of forgotten oaths. You think you hunt for truth, the truth hunts you. What do the winds carry when the Sky King's voice is no more? Listen, the wilderness has more witnesses than you. What do the winds carry beyond erased names? The Shrade Kingdom fell not to time, but to Fatalis, a reckoning etched in every map's hollowed sky. The guild preserved silence where empires once screamed. What truths smolder beneath ash, no